Redvee TV after the final home game of the year, and Saints have prevailed 40 points to 16 against the Huddersfield Giants.
Not there again, Nick. Not again.
Well,
not again.
Yeah, for a team who's just put 40 points on the board,
is there a slight bit of disappointment? Despite the performance being so good, could it have been and should it have been more?
it probably should have. I think you've got to put it down. I mean, I think Huddersfield have got the flip-flops on, the cues on the rack. They've got the slippers on, thinking about the close season. But I do think we probably could have been a bit more clinical, but can you argue if we've put 40 points on? Can you argue if we put 40 points
Salford put 52 on them last week, didn't they?
Yeah.
It just felt like we missed a little bit of trick. There was probably a 10-minute period in each half where we just seemed to switch off, and there was a time in that second half where we were throwing about on our own 10-metre line instead of being as clinical as we possibly could.
Yeah, I think we're just trying a bit too much. Yeah, actually the game was won, but you know, it's just throwing about a bit. But there's a time and a place, even when you've got the game won, isn't there, I suppose, you know. But I'm happy with a 40-point win.
It's aided the points difference a little bit. I think we're 50 odd better than Wigan's now. Obviously, we've just got to hope Wigan don't go and put in a fantastic performance.
Yeah.
Are you going to say hello, boys?
Hello!
Hey!
Saints until I die! Saints until I die! I know I am, I'm sure I am a Saints until I die!
Right, question.
Saints until I die! I'm Saints until I die! I know I am, I'm sure I am a Saints until I die!
Right, straw poll. It's a yes or no answer. Will Saints make the 4?
Yes!
Definitely, yes.
We should have said, will we win the grand final? That's another yes!
Yes! Okay, yes.
Why don't you win that one?
Somebody's had a couple of pints.
I think we can beat any team in the top 4 now to get to Old Trafford and win the Super League and the Grand Final, because we're the best team in the Super League.
Castaway, we won. We don't want Leeds, we want that.
If we play our rugby, we actually can.
We don't want any Yorkshire sides or anyone else beating us. We want the trophy to come back to St Helens.
Saints until I die! Oh, Saints until I die! I know I am, sure I am, Saints until I die!
Well, you may as well have you may as well have a sing-song on the last game of the year, hadn't you? Justin Oldbrook's team selection tonight. I think I alluded to last week that it was going to be at 6 and 7. It was going to be Johnny Lomax and Danny Richardson until Ryan Morgan's head injury ruled him out, and that meant Lomax played in the halves last week. This week he did go with it and put Farge to the bench. Was that the right call?
I think so. Yeah. I don't think you can argue with it. Lomax has taken his 2 tries well. I think they've linked up pretty well. It's still going to take some getting used to that partnership for the lads on the field rather than us. But I didn't think Farge had done too much wrong to be dropped in the first place. Johnny, I did.
Could you argue that as good as Phil Farge has been all year, we've struggled, and maybe it's time to say something different? I know Justin Oldbrook, the last home game he tried Matty Smith there, it failed miserably. So for me, it was a big call and a big decision for him.
Come on, Castleford! Twice!
It was a big call and a big decision for him actually to go again tonight and leave Farge out. So
I like the look of Danny Richardson. I think he, somebody said to me up there, he looks like a new Sean Long. I mean, wouldn't quite go that far yet, but
I wouldn't go that far.
You know,
not just yet.
I mean,
he offers you more in the team than Matty Smith.
He certainly does. I mean, as long as he's in the team, I can't see a way back for Matty Smith, unfortunately.
Exactly. You know. Going to Farge, he probably is more of a 9. I mean, I've read comments where people have said he's got no like creativity. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I think he's stronger in defence, and like bringing him on, whether he looked like he might have been limping, whether he was or not, just using him for the last 12 minutes, you think, well, are we saving interchanges for the actual props, or should he come on even 10 minutes towards the end of the second half, give Roby a bit of a break, and then bring Roby on 5 minutes after half time and go
for
again?
Me, I don't mind Farge or Lomax on the bench, whatever he chooses to go with. I'd be looking to maybe bring whoever's on to spell Roby a lot earlier, because I think Roby in the playoffs or the semi-final, if we get to it, could be destructive in the last 10 minutes of games against a real tiring defence. Ben Barber watch. Slow going, but we've got to remember that's the 3rd game of his pre-season. Most players do pre-season against players who are at the same level of fitness. He's done it against match fit players.
He's slowly getting that match fitness, and
you could see it tonight, couldn't you?
Yeah, he looked a lot sharper than last
for me, he a class above. Even he's probably what 70% fit at the minute. He looked a class above tonight. That try he scored where he went round the corner was just a peach.
You can just see. I mean, you could see in the first game there were little flashes of brilliance from him. It's a big call to bring someone. I know he's a world-class player, but it's a big call to bring someone in and then upset your balance of 1, 6, and 7. But you've got to do it. And people who have said no, he should be on the bench. He's not going to get match fitness playing 20 minutes coming on for Lomax. Then what do? You take Lomax off. If Lomax is playing really, really well, why do you change that? You don't. A fullback isn't a position that you change unless you get an injury or the serious layers of form and the drop.
For me, if we make the top 4 and we go to Castaway, you're only going to win at Castaway if you've got a match winner and a bit of class like Ben Barber in the team. So you've got to persist with him. And if you get to the semi-final and he's there, brilliant. But there's no point. You don't bring him in to leave Ben Barber on the bench.
You don't play him for the last 15, 20 minutes. No, I don't agree with that at all. Yeah, it's disruptive, but when you've got the first world-class player in Super League since Jamie Lyon coming in, what do you do? Or the first world-class Aussie. You could argue that Roby's world-class most weeks and whatever, but the first world-class Aussie to come into Super League for years. Why'd you leave him out?
How good's he going to be next year? If he's here. Assuming he is. Yes, he's going to be here.
Assuming he doesn't go back to Cronulla or something.
No, he won't. He'll be here next year, 100%. I'll nail me close to the mast on that.
Do you reckon Betfred will give me a double on Man of Steel and Dally M winner? No, he can be almost anything he wants to be. He could literally turn up every week.
Top try scorer and Man of Steel next year.
Absolutely. Top assist.
Just got that aura about him.
He's not even got a swagger. It's just, you just know that he's got the ball and he's going to pick the right option. And it's kind of crazy when people have been bagging, say, Percival for not picking the right option or us not going down the right-hand side. He's popping up on both sides and he's providing that pivot that Lomax was doing, but he's that step above. I like the fact that Lomax is fitted in at 6 and does look all right there, but he's a step above everything.
You're not, mate, you're on YouTube. For Saints to make the 4, we need either Cast to win at Wigan or beat Hull at home, or Wakey to upset Wigan, potentially at a point in the season where they'll have nothing to play for. Can we see it happening? It's a 50-50 call for me, pretty much.
Yeah, I agree.
You're still relying on the team.
Yeah, I mean, the results I can see most likely happening is Castleford beating Hull. I don't know what team Castleford are going to go for against Wigan. You hear rumours going about.
Well, they put the squad out today. They've left a few out. It's still a decent lineup, but I just hope they don't put the queue on the rack and give everybody a week off before I think the semi-final.
If you're a Castleford fan, and even like if you're Darryl Powell, you're probably looking for the momentum to carry on. You don't want to have a massive loss to put a bit of doubt in the squad. You want to keep that momentum
because
going.
Cass have had that role on all year. It's a risky business if they decide to put the queue on the rack for a week now, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It could come back to haunt them, so go full strength.
Yeah.
Hammer them.
Yeah. But as I say, I think Castleford beating Hull is the one that most chance of happening. I can't see Wakey doing anything. I think Wigan will actually win on Sunday.
Just to put the spanner in the works, would you put it past Wigan getting beat the weekend and then us falling on the banana skin at Salford?
It's St Helens.
Anything could happen. You never know.
Salford's just one of those places. I mean, never seems to. Where's the cowbell? How's the cowbell? At least it's been entertaining tonight. So we'll move on to Salford next Thursday. At the very, very least, we've kept the season alive until the last game of the Super 8 on that Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was a point where we didn't even think we were going to make the 8. So
well, have a look at.
We'll go back to the Huddersfield game when we were last here. What was it? What do you think of that, lads?
Shite. Yeah, it needs to go, etc.
So we've moved on.
There's only one issue that I've got with the last round of fixtures. Why they're not all at the same time?
Oh, don't be called. You'll be getting called bitter in the comments. I've said this before.
I know
it's been done in football for years. But it's been done in football for years. It should be before the start of the season. Any games that matter, because it could be at a point after Saints game where Wigan will know exactly what they need to do to make the 8, and Wakefield will have nothing to play for. At least if they do it at the same time.
We could have lost on Thursday, and then even if they made them all 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, we could still lose at Salford. But they should all be at the same time.
To be fair, Wigan fans could rightly complain that the fact that they're playing on the Saturday, if they do make the top 4, they're going to be going to Cass on the Thursday night, 5 days later.
Yeah. Ah, well, I don't care about Wigan. I've said that before. I don't care about it.
I care about finishing above them.
I care about finishing above them, but I don't care about
trying to make the 4, and that's
Saints
if
Wigan,
it happens, it happens.
Saints Wigan grand final still potentially on. If Cass drop points to Wigan, yeah, and beat Hull. Saints Wigan, if they win out, will play each other at Old Trafford. Ben Barber will run amok.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here, Dave.
We did that after Castaway. Saints will definitely make the top 4, and then we went on a run of 3 terrible results.
Yeah, let's just concentrate on getting past Salford first.
That's the banana skin for me.
And to be honest, even hoping that a result happens at Wigan this weekend, but let's just concentrate on us. And
right, final thing I want to ask tonight. Justin Holbrook, he came in mid-season. Has he done enough for you?
I think he's done a good job, personally.
Yeah, with the squad that isn't his, I think he's done fine. I think we mentioned during the game, the only thing I'm a little bit worried about is what's happening next season. Yeah. I know is it Peru and Ashworth who are off contract? Not heard anything that's in...
We've signed Bentley, haven't we?
Yeah, we've signed Bentley, but then there's word of him possibly going out on loan, so if he's not ready, well...
I can't see him going out on loan. I think he'll be spelling Roby next year. You've got to have to try and preserve Roby's career somehow, haven't you?
Bentley's in second row, isn't he?
But he can play a hooker.
No, because I saw Morgan Knowles could play hooker. I can play better
square pegs, round holes.
Not for me. He should be.
Somebody will tell me in the comments I'm talking right now. Probably.
He should be playing second row. If he's going to come in as a second rower, play him at second row. And don't.
He has. He's played second row.
Five spells Roby. Let's play second row. But I think we need. I'm hoping that they're having a look at some of these contracts and thinking, right, I know we're going to have to pay money out here, but who can we get rid of? Who can we free? I mean, we freed up a load of room on the cap, getting rid of the likes of Owens and Richards and people like that. Whether that was to pay for Barber.
Sounds awful. The elephant in the room next year is Matty Smith. Absolutely. He's got years on his contract. If he's not going to be a first choice halfback, can you afford to carry his wage? And to be fair, you've got to find somebody to pick up his wage, because fair play to the lad, he's got himself a deal.
Yeah.
If he wants to play, where does he go? Salford possibly. Yeah. Toronto, if they're still offering the deals out, if there's money there for them.
Possibly so. That's it. I mean, you look at a couple of our senior players and you think, well, can they do another year at the top level? I mean, I hate turning around and questioning whether their ability's still there, because they're obviously still better rugby players than me, but is a more Smith, Wilkin...
The thing that gets me is, about 2008, we went through that, was it about 2008, maybe a little bit earlier? We had the policy of nobody over the age of 30 got a 1-year deal. Now I know the landscape's changed, and because the Aussies aren't coming over, you've got to give players longer deals to keep them. But have we give some players potentially contracts longer than they should, and it's now hampering us because you can't shift them?
Yeah, so. Potentially, yeah. It could be a I mean, that obviously that was a big factor in players like Leon Price and Sean Long leaving
Gilmore,
Lee Gilmore, a little bit earlier than we would have expected, really. And you know, I thought the players could have done a bit of a job for us. That's another story.
It's one of them balancing acts that you've got to. It's difficult to know when you've got it right, but it's easy to know when you've got it wrong. And when players, like you've had a more drop for the past couple of weeks, is that just a dip in form, or is it a case of, well, actually as a prop he's not quite there? Hopefully it's just a dip in form and he can come back in and obviously show us what he can do. Hopefully he's starting in the next 3 weeks and he's playing really well.
I think the problem with Amor, he's done it 1 in 6, and you need him to do it at the very least 1 in every 2.
I hope, as I say, I hope it's just a dip in form with him. You hear people saying he's a bit too small and that, and maybe it is just a little bit of crisis of confidence, and hopefully a bit of time out the team, get himself rested a little bit and get back into it. That's the hope, because you don't want to see people getting jettisoned because they're not good enough or their attitude's not right.
It's good to have a squad where you can actually leave players out and they've got to force their way back in. I feel Adam Swift, he had a dip in form and he's been kept out the side by Grace and Makinson. He's not turned into a bad player overnight, and I'm sure he's working hard in training. So for me, at some point you've got to give him another chance.
Yeah, he's got to get in, and whether that's just you giving someone a rest, whether it be
and give them a chance to take the opportunity.
I mean, you're not going to do that now. It will be
next season. Yeah.
But
Adam Swift's a good squad man to have, isn't he?
He's a good player. It's unfortunate.
And equally, there'll be other Super League teams who'll look at him and think he could do a job for us.
Exactly. It's just unfortunate that it seemingly he'd put his hands on backwards for quite a bit at the start of the season. And struggled. And again, is that confidence? Is that almost like the attitude that we've spoken about where Smith who came in and turned around and said, I don't get the attitude in it. It's almost like we're beaten. And whether it's a case of build that up and next season it could be a 20 tries in a season scorer, you don't know, do you?
Right.
Hopefully for us.
15.5 minutes in.
And I said we had nothing to talk about with this.
Tell you what, this is going to be a struggle getting this up on YouTube. Like, share and subscribe, and we will see you for the final regular season game, and hopefully not the last, at Salford next Thursday night. Take care.